It's finally Friday.
It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome to a special Down Under edition of the Friday Show, presented by Woodbine. I'm Scott Jagow, coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where I've arrived to cover the Spring Carnival, because it is spring here, and all that leads up to the race that stops a nation, the Melbourne Cup, on November 1st. I'll be exploring and sharing the experience of the many facets of Australian thoroughbred racing while I'm here. Today, I'm at the Melbourne Cricket Grounds, which is a venerable stadium. Many famous cricket matches and Aussie rule football games have been held here. It's older than Saratoga. It actually was built in 1853, and recently 100,000 people packed in here to watch an Aussie rules football game. Today it was host to the annual Cox Plate luncheon, a lively affair that generates excitement for Saturday's Cox Plate at Moonee Valley Racecourse. Handicappers talked about the race. The audience was regaled with stories of Melbourne Cup winners and Cox Plate winners past, so it was a lot of fun. The Cox Plate has a rich history dating back to 1922. Former winners include one of Australia's most famous horses, Far Lap, who won it twice, and more recently, a name you might know, So You Think, who won back-to-back Cox Plates, then headed to the U.S. to participate in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Well, this year, there is a chance for a back-to-back Cox Plate winner. A really good chance.
What a win! Winks has bolted in the Cox Plate by 4 lengths to Criterion. Hard on Real Ren, third, Cornish A4.
Her name is Winks. She's one of the top-rated horses in the world. She won the Cox Plate last year. She's won about 12 races in a row. She's going to be very formidable. So I talked with Mick Sharkey, who covers the Australian thoroughbred industry. He was one of the hosts today. His website is called G1X. About Winks, about her competition, and what we can expect from a fan and betting perspective.
Yeah, so Black Caviar is probably the closest or the best comparison. Even though she was unbeaten after 25 starts, you know, she was the champion mare of her time. She was the best filly we'd seen in a long, long time, best mare we've seen in a long, long time, best sprinter we've seen in a long time. In Australia, we've been blessed probably for the last decade to get a really good run on of top horses like So You Think, Black Caviar, and now, just when we thought, you know, that era might have been finished, Winks comes along. Now, as a young horse, she was good. She had a massive turn of foot from the back of the field. She'd lay back last and come charging home in the stretch. You know, make up many lengths in a space of 150 metres. She'd often get beaten, but as an older horse, she's become stronger. She's developed more tactical speed. And what we're seeing now, as she shoots for her 13th straight win in the Cox Plate on Saturday, is what I believe to be the closest thing to a complete racing package. From anything from 1,400 metres to 2,000 metres, she can land wherever her jockey Hugh Bowman wants her to be. She can be on the back of the lead, she can be midfield, she can lay back last and come around them. The biggest weapon she has is a cool head. She can travel into a race on the back of a rival who's under pressure and pushed to be there, and whenever Hugh pushes the button, she explodes. And that acceleration, that explosivity, makes her unique. And it endears her to the racing public. Doesn't matter if you love racing or if you just follow the sport casually in the spring carnival time. When you can see a horse like that you can follow and watch and understand why she's so good, it means a hell of a lot for the sport.
So she's facing 9 rivals in the Cox Plate on Saturday. With all that description you just gave, what gets her beat?
Bad luck, basically. You know, she's drawn an inside gate. She's in 3. Moonee Valley's a really tight track. You're almost always turning. There's a very short stretch. It's only 150, 160 metres run in. So you need to be clear of the pack and building momentum as they turn. And then you'll find horses like Winks really ping off the corner. It's almost like a velodrome. They get the action off the corner and they just explode that last little bit in the straight. The only thing that will get the horse beaten is if she gets caught in behind horses and Hugh Bowman can't get her out and can't build momentum. She's got a really good informed horse in Hartnell for Godolphin going around. Now, Hartnell was a UK horse that had won over 2 mile as a young horse, as a 3-year-old. He was brought here to win a Melbourne Cup. Now, in his first 2 seasons, he measured up to a decent standard, but nothing like what we've seen. It's like Hartnell's come of age. You know, he's been winning races by an average margin of 7 lengths. Just an absolute machine. But he's a momentum builder. He'll be out and he'll be running from the 600 to try and pinch a break on Winks. His jockey, James McDonald, he's had a brilliant season in the UK during their summer. Back to Australia, he's flying. he'll be looking over his shoulder and hoping that he's got far enough of a margin on Winks to hold her off.
You're a betting man, right? So how do you bet this race?
I think the only way to play the race, you got to back Winks to win. You have to take her to win. You know, if you can get anything like even money on the horse, you just take it. The each way runner in the race, I think, will run really well. We've had a lot of rain in Melbourne here today on Friday, and there's more due on Saturday. There's a horse called Lucia Valentina. Now, she won the premier 2,000 metre race of the Sydney Carnival in the autumn, the Queen Elizabeth. It's worth $4 million. A little bit of cash there. She was second up into that race, sat last on a wet track, swept past and won like there was nothing in the field. She's second up into this race, same pattern. She gets the same wet track. She gets the same distance. She's around 9 to 1, 10 to 1. She's been ignored for mine. She's a good place bet.
The Cox Plate featuring Winks goes off at about 5 p.m. local time on Saturday here in Melbourne. Thanks to Mick Sharkey for his insights. We'll be hearing more from him on other topics and exploring with others in the thoroughbred racing industry here topics such as why they are doing such a good job getting young people into the game, how Americans can better follow and bet on Australian racing. We'll share the racetrack experience, plus go to the farm. Spendthrift Australia is on the itinerary. So lots more coverage to come from Melbourne. That's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show presented by Woodbine. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll leave you with a few scenes of spring from downtown Melbourne.